Hey PSA, hope you guys are well. Hope you had a great weekend and looking forward to a another successful trading week here at Penny Shark Academy. It is March the 8th, Sunday evening. We're looking at the open market currently. The futures are open and it is a bloodbath so far. Uh, as to be expected, we talked about this. If you go back to our video from 3 weeks ago, I believe it was, we looked at what was happening and we saw the setup here that the market definitely was turning down, and that was before the war was announced. So yeah, let's get into it here. We're looking at the MES, which is the S&P 500 futures. Um, as you can see here, we saw the selling start coming in February the 9th. That was our first indicator where we went from buyers and neutral volume to first sell volume here on the weekly based on our volume indicator. And here we are, the last 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks of sellers in control of this market each week. Even though price had not caught up with that, it is certainly now showing itself. And that's why a bearish position was the best way to trade this market and look for downside. And now, obviously, buying opportunities may present themselves at a certain point, but you can kind of see here where it's sitting. So, our heat map, which is based on the momentum here in the market, is turning red as well. We'll see where that ends up by the end of the week. Definitely, there's a chance of this turning around if some good news actually gets announced or some kind of deal comes in around these levels, which, if you track the market long enough, you know that that's always a possibility that, seeing as the news happens, that's perfect times based on what the chart is saying. It's really interesting. That's why I like actually looking at the market. And then here is the NASDAQ. You can see here last week our sell volume came in. This is the first one on the NASDAQ in several weeks, ever since January, the week of January 26th. We've kind of been choppy, choppy, choppy. Boom, this is our first breakdown here. If this holds and we get continuation, especially if we break the 100 here, which we have a ways to go to even touch it, probably another 400, 500 points to get down to a kiss of the 100. Actually, that's the 50. I say 100, I believe that's actually the 50. So if we go and touch that, then I would say that that's a great place for a potential reversal if it's going to. Otherwise, there's definitely some potential here for a big move down. I don't know how bearish we're going to get, but again, it's our job to just look at the chart, look at history. Each time we've seen some of these big moves down, you can kind of see at some point we find some good support and the buying continues. But we'll see what happens with the conflict that we are currently watching. This is the Qs. It looks like, just based on where price is overnight, Qs are sitting right around this level. We called about 580 a few weeks ago when we were looking at this. We said it looks like, based on this breakdown here of consolidation, we wanted to get down to the 580 level. Looks like we're going to visit that level by the morning when we open up. That was the 580 low here. So we're going to test that 580, see if we either break it or if it holds. At the very least, I think by the end of the week, we probably tap that 579, 580 level. There's a lot of liquidity down there, and we probably get a little bit of a bounce, and then we continue down. The next level, would be testing this 50 here as well, which is right where we have a nice pocket of volume. So 565, 570 would be next if we continue down from there. So, going to be interesting to see where the Qs end up here this week. Then you have the SPY. This is definitely coming down into the 660 range. Same scenario here. 650 was our low, so probably going to come down and test into that range, but nothing surprising there. Looking at the futures market, we kind of saw this coming at Penny Shark Academy and trading accordingly. So you can kind of see Bitcoin here. We have a nice little bounce up to the trend line on the weekly. A lot of folks probably got long, thinking, we're about to take off. We're off and running. The problem with that is we're still well below our 9 simple moving average that we have here. So nothing about this says we're taking off just yet. We did see the volume come in here at 60,000 as we called out. We consolidated against it. We held it here last week at 62. We got the nice pop, but until we either break below here or we get above our 9 SMA and have a good close above it. We did get it right here, but hit the 20 EMA and nice big sell off again. We want to see some real momentum, some real buying with some closing at pretty decent levels before we feel very confident in Bitcoin recovering. But this is definitely accumulation area where looks like there's a lot of volume and we're ranging. So I think that there's some accumulation happening at this level, and maybe we do see a price respond finally and get back up. But until we figure that out, this is definitely a long-term play. Nothing short-term about it currently. Gold is still sitting above our 9 SMA. So we're still watching that, of course. Nothing to report. Obviously, last week looks like our sell volume came in. That could be a pullback. It could be a continuation this week. Don't really know just yet. Same with silver. We are under our 9 simple moving average. At this point, we were above it. So you can see we sold back below it. It's just, again, we're just ranging. So we don't know exactly what's happening there yet. Then you have U.S. oil. My goodness, look at that chart. So when we looked at this last week, we had tested 75 at the open and sold off. That's where we were right here. We had opened up at 75, which is above the 200. Sold off back down to, 69. And we said, hey, what we want is a clear close above our 200. And boy, did we get it. Look at that move right there. Obviously, this is all related to the conflict in Iran. The fact that oil is not able to move currently through the strait that's over there. So, obviously having a little bit of a price shock situation. I fully expect that this chart will correct itself over time. I hope, because this is definitely not where we want oil prices to go. We don't want it to go that quickly either, but it is a great opportunity for a lot of people to make a lot of money right now. So now let's get into our different stocks. Here's a sector I want to kind of point out. This is the tech software sector. Interesting volume here on software. Although the market has been kind of selling off, the software stocks kind of started a little bit earlier than some of the other stocks. You kind of saw a few of them just really getting hammered. Microsoft leading the way is the biggest holding here. I'll show you guys what the actual holdings are for this particular ETF. You can see here as of March the 5th, Microsoft has the biggest weighting. Palantir, Salesforce, Oracle, AppLovin, into it, etc. Adobe, CrowdStrike. So there's some pretty familiar names in here and pretty high weight in this ETF. But if you look at the ETF itself, wow, look at that volume here last week. While the whole market's selling off, look where buyers are being positioned. Very interesting right now. Software is finding some buyers. We're back above the 200 on the close. This could come back and retest the 200, most likely will, around the $83 range or so, $83, $84. If and when it does, this could be an interesting trade because you had a couple of weeks in a row of strong volume pushing us up, especially in the midst of the entire market kind of pushing down. So, very interesting. So we'll keep paying attention to that. Costco. Costco had earnings. They actually had decent earnings. You can see here they beat the estimates across the board. We did have a dip after the earnings the morning of to 960. Immediately got bought up, pushed us back to 1,000. Volume is still very much in line with where we expected it to be, which is buyers pushing this market or pushing this stock up. I do expect us to have a good chance of continuation up to our original target of 1050. Not sure how the overall market will impact that ability to get there quickly or not, but you can see here key facts. JP Morgan just raised Costco price target to 1060. Sales grow 20% in China. That was just yesterday. This is again March the 8th. So on March the 7th, JP Morgan just gave them a raise on their price target. And no surprise, right? Because when the chart starts setting up like this, we know exactly what this wants to do. It's been kind of ranging a little bit, but I expect some kind of explosive move at some point, whether that's gradual or just on some news, that we could get a real nice pop on Costco to the upside here soon. That's my call. We'll keep watching though. Salesforce, you can see here, it's in that ETF we mentioned, the tech software ETF. This is showing the same signs as the others. Buyers stepping in. We had a nice move up off of this volume here that came in. Fully expect that we could get a pullback, of course, with the overall sell-off that we're experiencing, but you know, I think this still has a lot of momentum to the upside if these buyers stay interested. And you know, we're still at some pretty good lows here as well, and it's upholding pretty nicely from a support perspective. So Venture Global, we just talked about this over the last few weeks if you're following Penny Shark Academy, and we talked about the fact that it looked like this was some nice accumulation over the last several weeks. As you can see here, just ranging, trading sideways a little bit, but our volume kind of indicated that buyers are very much interested, and it did not lie. Once again, bam. We had a nice big spike on the earnings report, but the earnings were probably not nearly as much of the impact as the conflict that has driven oil prices through the roof. So very much so in alignment with what's happening with the oil prices, but this was a good stock to be to have entered into before all of that news. You can see well before the news, the accumulation starts, because as we always say, someone always knows what's about to happen, and you know, traders were definitely positioned here for this nice big move up. You know, you have a little ways to go. I do expect at some point we could get a pullback. If we pull back, could be a nice longer term trade depending on how long we go into this conflict. Bloom Energy sold off. We hit the 180 the week before last. Had a little bit of a push up to 166 at the beginning of last week, and then bam, $24.75 drop just on Friday. That was a 15% sell off. Now, this is on the weekly, and our volume is turning a little bit to the downside, but at the same time, our 2 week is still very much green volume, which means over the longer term, I still expect that buyers are going to stay interested in this stock, and this could be just a nice pullback for us to enter back into it. So obviously an easy target would be somewhere around this 122 mark, with the 20 EMA being the next level that we can possibly find support. If it wants to keep going, there's a nice volume shelf here at 110, but maybe it doesn't get that far, but we will still be looking for that one. It's nice volatile stock. Moderna, nice big move here. You can see here what's been happening. It touched almost $60 here. The first time we called this out was on this volume here. That came in, closed at 49. Nice big jump here to 54. Next week, 59 before we pull back to 52. If you traded that, you had all the potential in the world to make some nice gains. Still waiting for a bigger pullback, but 36 was the low here before this move. It'd be nice to get us back down to about $40-$45 before we continue up if it's going to. Adobe, this is just one of the software stocks that is in that software sector. I just wanted to pull and just show you guys. You can see here it started to move up just this past week, and it does have earnings in 4 days. So I expect that with these earnings, based on the fact that we already have had quite the run here onto the downside, I don't know. We'll see, but could be an earnings pop in comparison to what we've seen so far. So we haven't really had a ton of those yet, even with some of the beats that they've had, but I like what the overall sector volume looks like. So I'm kind of leaning to that side. You can see here with CrowdStrike, we had a little bit of a move up here on earnings, or a lot actually. This past week, we went up 15% based on the earnings. Earnings were actually just in line, so nothing crazy that they did. But again, after a big sell-off from these highs of 566 in November, it really wasn't that long ago, November of 25, just a short quarter or so ago, 5 months, 4 or 5 months, it sold off quite a bit, and now buyers are interested at these levels, and so we're starting to push back up. So we'll see if we continue that momentum here as well. Boeing, you can see here, Boeing it has been in a nice uptrend with buyers very much interested, pushing us up. But once we hit about 254, we started to see some selling come in, consolidation, sold down almost to this volume shelf, and then buyers last week did get interested. It looks like some news out of China came in where China may be buying some Boeing jets, delivery stretching into 2030. So we'll see if that causes us to find some more buying into this next week. Could be an entry here. We'll keep watching this, but just understand when we see this volume flip from red to green, when we see buyers come in at these levels, sometimes we get a nice push up. So we'll watch that to see if that's the case with this here. And plus, it could have been creating a higher low here. Could be a little bit more downside, but with this nice little volume spike coming in here, it's not huge, but it's higher than the selling volume. I expect that Boeing has a chance to start making moves if the overall market says the same. One Oak, One Oak looks really good. Obviously, they're in their right sector here, oil and gas pipelines, and we've been tracking this one at Penny Shark Academy. We rode this one up a little bit already. A nice little pullback down to 79, and of course, as expected, nice buying coming in here last week. I expect that this one's probably going to start traveling further up. It's still above the 200, or it's above the 200 now. Its high was 118 back November 24, so we got a little ways to go if it wants to come back into some of those levels. So I would say the first target area is probably around 100, 98 bucks here, around where this volume is. So we'll see what that has to, if that chart is telling us something. And then Sable Offshore Corporation, very interesting one. They sold off from 35 bucks all the way down to $3. As here in November, Penny Shark Academy has been tracking this one, just waiting. We've traded it. We've made some pretty decent gains on it. But based on the conflict, this one looks like it definitely could find some legs. Buyers have stepped in very strong as of last week, and we have a ways to go there too if we want to continue up. So very much a huge possibility that this gets above the 200, which I believe it will probably open up above the 200, and we could see some nice movement up to this $20-$25 range soon. And then lastly, we have Netflix. Netflix has been selling off for quite a while here. You have the 134 high that it achieved. Of course, this was after a stock split or post stock split. This was much larger stock. But 134 high all the way down to, what did we get to? $75. So basically just wanted to come down and almost kiss that 200. And now we've seen, some obvious news come in. Week before last pushed us up in a single week, 22%, $17 move. Last week we had just a little bit of a ranging week, tighten things up a little bit between $100 and $95. Just stayed right there. I would expect that the momentum here is really starting to move back in the upside direction. I will say I would love a nice healthy pullback first before fill some of this gap here that was created, this fair value gap. So still watching. Have not entered into anything here with Netflix. Would love a nice deep pullback if we can get it to then ride it on back up here with some of the momentum we're seeing here. So that is our weekly analysis, March the 8th, Sunday, March the 8th, 2026. Definitely lots of stuff happening in the world. We're just going to continue watching. Encourage you to like, subscribe, follow Penny Shark Academy. If you want to be a part of our community, that's obviously still something on the table as well. If you want to join us, you can go to www.pennysharkacademy.com, and that will allow you to enroll in our academy and be an official Penny Shark Academy member, where you get more of these type of analysis, more benefits, obviously entries, exits, things that we're doing in order for us to successfully navigate this market. So, but until then, hope you guys have a great trading week. God bless you all, and we'll talk to you next time.